Background. My husband, 31-year-old male, and I have been renting an 80s double wide from my in-laws since 2021. Because of the state of the home, and because my husband is in medical school, we've been extremely fortunate to be charged very low rent for this home. The first year we paid $400 a month in rent, while I worked on home improvements, ripping out blue carpet, installing new flooring, putting in sprinkler systems, building a deck, tiling, redoing kitchen cabinets and countertops. We agreed to raise the rent to $500 in 2022 because they had to replace the air conditioning unit after it died. We've made many improvements to this home, in part because we could afford to due to the low rent. As a side note, my income fully supports our family while my husband is in medical school. He takes out student loans for his tuition and gas money, and I pay for our car insurance, car loans, rent, groceries, etc. My husband is currently finishing up his third year of medical school and will be taking his COMLEX Level 2 this July. We will be relocating summer of 2025 to whatever residency program he's accepted into, because we will most likely be moving states away from family. In 2025, we decided that we wanted to try for a kid while being local to our familial support. This will be the first grandchild for both sides of our families. She's due at the end of May. Situation. My father-in-law recently found a buyer who was interested in the property we live on. 16 acres, 80s double wide, and mother-in-law suite, who has accepted his price of $700,000. We were told yesterday that they will be working on writing up a contract in the next week. Per our state's laws, we have a 90-day notice from written notice to move. My husband and I are planning to relocate to my hometown, 2 hours away from our current location, so that I can spend quality time with my dad and siblings and have the support of my friend group before we move for residency. However, I can't help but feel really upset about this whole situation, and I'm having a hard time wanting to continue a relationship with my in-laws. I don't want to feel entitled, especially because we've been the beneficiaries of extremely low rent over the past few years, regardless of the effort we've put into improving this house. I don't think I would feel as personally affronted if this was a normal landlord-tenant relationship. Instead, I feel like my in-laws are choosing profit over a good relationship with my husband, myself, and our child. We've been extremely vocal about our timeline and, quite frankly, the stress of 1, giving birth and becoming a new mom 2, having to move in 3, my husband's level 2 exam all happening within the same 3 months, is extremely overwhelming. I don't want to be petty or vindictive, but I'm having such a hard time not reacting emotionally. How do I deal with this situation with grace, without harming a relationship with my in-laws? Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. While I am sympathetic for how you are feeling given your life circumstances and the apparent lack of communication from your in-laws, which really was kind of crappy if they didn't give you a heads up before putting it on the market. To answer your question, take this as a learning experience. You decide to make home improvements on your own, so you cannot hold them accountable for that loss. I do get wanting to make your living space a bit nicer and less run down. Look at it as you having gained lots of DIY experience for your next permanent home. It is super helpful to be able to gain home maintenance and improvement experience as a future homeowner. And as a bonus, you had a bit nicer environment to live in while you lived there. As for your in-laws, also focus on the positive until your feelings have settled a little. You already see the positives. They helped you and your husband out in a time that you really needed it most. That is super low rent. Focus on this and walk away a wiser, thankful person instead of letting this grudge take over. Wishing you and your little family all the best. Though life may be chaotic for the next few months, it will eventually settle down and you will have come out stronger. Comment 2. I think your feelings are valid. Yes, it's their right to sell, blah, blah, blah. But they are family. And it seems like there could have been more of a warning or discussion. They could have even talked to the buyer about him maybe renting to you for a year, depending on what he wants the property for. However, if the buyer approached them and the offer was good, you can't really fault them for that. I wouldn't end the relationship over this. It wasn't a kind thing for them to do, but you have to look at it within the scope of the entire relationship. Also, moving 2 hours away is already going to limit your interactions with them, so just be thankful for that. I wouldn't go out of my way to visit them. Traveling with the baby is hard. Let them come to you, and if they don't, they don't. Who knows where the residency will put you? I wouldn't make a big deal out of this. Just live your life, and you might end up lower contact due to distance anyway. No need to stir the pot. Now, for the update, thanks for sticking around for this update. So, the past month has been pretty tough, to say the least. After we got the news about the sale, things just spiraled. I was trying to keep it together, but it's been tough. My husband's been buried in his books, studying for his COMLEX. And I've been juggling work, pregnancy, and now house hunting. We started looking for places in my hometown, but the market's insane. Prices have shot up, and it's like there's nothing decent we can afford without stretching ourselves thin. We found this one place, though, seemed perfect, close to my family, and within our budget. We were so close to signing the lease, but then I made a mistake that changed everything. I accidentally let slip to the landlord about the baby on the way. Next thing we know, he's backing out, saying something about not wanting a newborn in the property noise, concerns or some nonsense. I was devastated. It felt like we were back to square one and time was ticking. Meanwhile, my in-laws have been acting like nothing's wrong. They're planning renovations for the mother-in-law suite, talking about turning it into a vacation rental. It stings, you know? All the work we put into this place, and now they're just focused on making more money off it. My husband's been trying to stay neutral, but I can tell he's torn up about it. He's close to his parents, but he sees how stressed I am, and it's putting a strain on us. We've been arguing more, mostly about money and where we're going to live. It's like the pressure is just building and building. Then, last week, my car broke down. The transmission went out, and the repairs are going to cost a fortune. That was the last straw. I lost it. Completely broke down in tears in the middle of the mechanic's shop. It felt like everything was falling apart. We had to dip into our savings to fix the car, which means less money for the move and the baby. It's like every step forward we take, something pushes us 2 steps back. I've been feeling so much resentment towards my in-laws. I know it's not fair, but I can't help it. And then the bomb dropped. My husband failed his COMLEX. He's been so distracted with everything going on that he just couldn't focus. He's got to retake it, which means more studying, more stress, and more student loans. It's like our whole future is on hold now. We can't move until he passes that exam, and we're stuck in this limbo. I'm due any day now, and instead of nesting and preparing for our baby, I'm scrambling to find us a new home and figure out how we're going to make ends meet. The worst part is, I feel like I can't even talk to my in-laws about it. They're so caught up in their sale and the money they're making that it feels like they don't even see what's happening to us. I'm worried that this is going to cause a permanent rift between us. And that's the last thing I want. I've been trying to keep a brave face, but inside, I'm a mess. I'm scared about being a new mom, about where we're going to live, about my husband's career. It feels like everything that could go wrong has gone wrong. I know we'll get through this somehow. We have to. But right now, it's hard to see the light at the end of the tunnel. I just hope that once the dust settles, we can rebuild our relationship with my in-laws and start fresh. But for now, it's just one day at a time. Thanks for reading. My dad promised an extravagant wedding, then said he's broke, so I quit his company and planned a dream ceremony without him. I'm not complaining because my dad doesn't want to pay for the wedding. It's more that in our culture, the father usually pays, and he explicitly and many, many times has told everyone, including my fiance's family, that he is going to do a crazy wedding for us. He regularly sends them pictures and videos of the crazy stuff he is going to pay for at the wedding. When me and him argue about what he pays me, $600 weekly working for him, he pretty much tells me, "Shut up, I'm paying for your stupid wedding." Most of the time, that has won the argument. He knows on my salary I could never pay my own wedding. My car insurance is $400 a month, and my health insurance is $300 a month. The truck I drive to do work for him costs in gas $240 a month. I obviously go on dates with my fiance, and I eat out because most of the time I'm on the road. So I'm lucky if I'm able to save $1,000 a month. An average wedding here is $30,000 to $40,000. It would take me 3 years to save that. I have saved $20,000, which is enough for me to move out, buy furniture, and put a security deposit, but I can't pay for a wedding and move out. He kept saying, "We will see. I'll talk to the venue. I'll leave a deposit," but he never does anything about it. The guy at the venue gave us a deadline, till today, or he gives his last date to someone else. My fiance's family is getting annoyed and is now insisting we do the wedding overseas for around $3,000 to $5,000. When I told my dad, he got mad and said it would cost the family way more to buy tickets to go there. My fiance decided to go sit down and talk to him herself. He spent the whole time trying to turn her on me. First, he told her I take a lot of medications and order a lot of pills on Amazon, to which she responded, "Yes, he does. He orders vitamins he takes daily. We share an Amazon account." Then he said he carries them around in a pill container. She said, "Yes, I ordered that for him because he used to take them on an empty stomach. This allows him to take them to work and take them after lunch." Then he said, "Well, a few years ago, my son made me put a $10,000 deposit for a girl he was engaged to for a wedding. So I'm a little hesitant this time." He put $4,000 down. Even my siblings who were there vouched for this. And he knows we broke it off because she was cheating on me. Then she asked him if he ever plans on giving me a raise because $600 a week for someone living on their own is realistically not enough. He walked around the question and said, well, he is still learning and not doing enough work around here. There's not enough work. Business has been dead. She asked if he could help me find another job, to which he said he needs me to help him. I've been helping him the past 10 years. I went from $400, $500, $600 weekly and haven't had a raise in 5 years. I once got a job for $70,000 a year and he got so mad he all of a sudden wanted me to pay rent $2,000 a month to him, help with taxes $500 monthly, my own car insurance. He also wanted the truck back that he bought me. He knew I had no savings to move out because of my low pay and no savings to buy a car. What bothers me the most is all this time he has been going around telling all our friends and family of this extravagant wedding he has planned for me and my fiancé, only to now tell me he can no longer pay for it. He says he has no money. He just bought my sister a car for $50,000 and regularly has bought garbage he says he needs from auctions around $60,000 this year, all just rotting away in his warehouse. Even my mom is telling me she knows he has money. My fiance was thinking maybe he doesn't like her, but I've caught him so many times telling his friends how amazing she and her family are. I don't know how to feel about my father. Would I be messed up to just throw a small ceremony and cut him off? Now for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. It has nothing to do with liking your fiancé or not. He doesn't want his slave to leave. Yes, that's right, slave. He's financially harassing you. Take your soon-to-be in-laws' advice and do your wedding cheaper and get out of there. Also, start looking for a new job as soon as possible. Once you have one set up, tell Daddy-O to go pound sand. Comment 2. You need to find another job first. You are meekly letting your father financially control you. Screw him. I don't even know why you trust anything from him at this point. Why not just elope like her family suggested overseas? You need to cut the cord from your selfish dad. Say it with me. So long, Dad. I'm my own man. Now, for the update, thanks for the support on my last update. Well, things have taken a turn for the worse. My dad, who's been stringing us along about the wedding, finally showed his true colors. He had the nerve to throw a party, a big one. And guess what? It was for his friend's daughter's wedding. The same guy who's been crying broke to me. I couldn't believe it. My fiancée was devastated, and her family, they were beyond upset. But that's not even the worst part. My sister, who just got that fancy car from Dad, came to me with a confession. She overheard him bragging to his buddies about how he's been playing me all along. said he never intended to pay for my wedding. He thought it was funny that I believed him. I was furious, felt like a fool, and my sister, she was ashamed she didn't tell me sooner. I confronted him and it got ugly. He tried to deny it at first, but I had my sister backing me up. He finally admitted it, said he thought I needed to grow up and handle my own affairs. Can you believe that? After all these years of low pay and false promises. So I took a stand. I quit working for him. Found a new job. Doesn't pay as much as the one I had before, but it's a start. My fiancée and I decided to have a small ceremony, just us and a few close friends and family. Her family chipped in, and we managed to pull off a beautiful day without my dad's help. The aftermath was tough. My mom's torn between us, and my siblings. They're starting to see Dad's true nature. He's been trying to win me back, offering money now, but it's too late. I'm done with his games. We're moving forward, my fiancé and I building our life together on our terms. Thanks for reading. My father-in-law demands daily texts to ease his anxiety. But when he falls and I realize it's his lifeline, I start sending them and show him the true meaning of family support. My husband, in his 40s, M, and I, in our 40s, F, met in our late 30s, and we've been together for 10 years, married for 7. When I met my in-laws, a male and female in their 70s, they were warm, welcoming, and lovely, as they still are. My own relationship with my parents is fraught and difficult. So this was a nice change. My husband and many members of his family suffer from anxiety. My husband and his sister have gotten help and are managing it, but his father is not, and as he's in his late 70s, it is unlikely he will now. The pandemic made his anxiety considerably worse, and if he could, he would put everyone he cares about in a bubble where he could see them at all times. Most of his family have Find My Friend or some other sort of tracking device, and while he's apparently asked about this, my husband shot it down without even bringing it to my attention. This latest request, to send him a daily text message that we're still alive, my husband's considering. But I really don't want to. I don't have any named social media, so he can't check on me that way. I travel a lot for work, so I'm not always with my husband, so he can't just clock in for both of us. Here's the thing. I simply don't want to. I have my own hang-ups about men in authority, and feeling like I have to explain or defend myself to someone, which I am working through but will never fully go away. I am a very successful and happy adult. I survived for 36 years before I even met this man, and I don't want him to be the first thing on my mind every morning when I wake up. Sometimes, I'll want to have intimacy with my husband in the morning, and that simply won't happen if my first thought was of his father. I already text him every time a plane I'm in lands, and we always text him when we get home safely from visiting them. We have a family group chat that I participate in when I can, and those all seem normal to me, but my normal meter needs a check-in. Is a daily proof of life text reasonable? If this request was from a member of my family, it would be met with a clipped, "Don't be ridiculous," or simply, "No." But my father-in-law is a lovely person, and I don't want to hurt him. How can I explain to him that this simply isn't possible? Edit, because this keeps coming up. He does not live alone. He and my mother-in-law are in relatively good health for their age. He is apparently active on Facebook every single day with his Wordle. He plays pickleball, of course, a few times a week, and 2 of his 4 children do text him every single day. This is not about making sure he's okay. It's about him checking in on my husband and me. It is not enough for him to simply check my husband's active Instagram account because he may not post every day. Part of what I didn't explain is that one of my sisters-in-law has rather roughly refused to do this, and she's not a great person, so I'm trying to see if this is a normal request or not. Seems like the verdict is that it is not, but to handle it with more grace than she did. Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Is your husband willing to do this? If so, I'd have him say, "You don't need both of us to check in every day. I'll check in with you, and if anything happens to OP, I'll definitely let you know." If not, he can just tell his dad that you guys aren't willing to do that. Maybe assuring him that he's an emergency contact in case anything were to happen. Comment 2. This is his father's mental, emotional problem. The proper response would be therapy or anxiety medication. The outrageous response would be for everyone else to cater to his inappropriate tracking/self-check-in demands. Now for the update. Thanks for sticking around for the latest. So the other day, something happened that really shook things up. My father-in-law, the one who's been struggling with anxiety, had a fall. It was one of those moments that just flips everything upside down. He's okay, thank goodness, but it was a real scare for all of us. Now, I've always been the type to keep my distance when it comes to family drama, but seeing him there in the hospital bed, something in me just snapped. I realized that all this time, his need for those daily texts wasn't about controlling us. It was his way of coping with the fear of losing someone. I guess I never really saw it from his perspective before. Back when I was growing up, my own dad was the type to keep his feelings locked up tight. If he was worried, you'd never know it. That's probably why I'm so against anyone checking up on me. It feels like they're trying to cage me in just like he did. But my father-in-law, he's different. He wears his heart on his sleeve, and I've been fighting him on this without really understanding why. My husband, bless him, he's been caught in the middle of all this. He's trying to keep the peace, managing his own anxiety while trying to help his dad. And then there's me, stubborn as an old mule, refusing to budge. But after the fall, my husband and I had a long talk. He told me about his childhood, how his dad would always be the one to patch up scraped knees and chase away nightmares. It hit me then, how much this man cared and how his anxiety was just a twisted form of love. So I made a decision. I started sending those daily texts. Good morning, we're okay. Just a simple message, but you wouldn't believe the difference it made. My father-in-law, he perked up almost immediately. It was like we'd given him a lifeline. But life, it's never that simple, is it? Just when things started to smooth over, my sister-in-law, the one who's always been a bit of a chaotic card, she went and did something that threw us all for a loop. She sent a text to the family group chat, a picture of her with a new puppy. Now, that might not sound like much, but she's always been the one to say she'd never settle down, never be tied to anything. And here she was, taking on a responsibility, showing a softer side we'd never seen. It made me think about how we all have our ways of dealing with the world. Some of us build walls, some of us let everything in. And sometimes it takes a shock to the system to see things clearly. My father-in-law's fall, my sister-in-law's sudden change of heart, it all made me realize that we're all just trying to get by in whatever way we can. I'm not saying it's been easy. There are days when I resent that text, when I feel like I'm back to being that little girl who had to answer to her father's every whim. But then I remember the look on my father-in-law's face when he reads those messages, and I know it's worth it. So here we are, a family a little bit closer, a little bit more understanding of each other's quirks and fears. It's not perfect, but then what family is? We're muddling through, finding our way, and sometimes that's all you can ask for. Thanks for reading. If you like this video, you'll probably like these too. Also, while you're here, please consider subscribing. It's your support that keeps this channel alive and allows me to make better and longer videos. Have a great day.